Hello everybody and welcome back to the A-Side. I am your host, Riley. And you guys seem to really like it when I talked about Black Midi last time, and also, of course, Black Country New Road, kind of in the same way. And they're very, I don't want to say similar bands, but are often kind of grouped together, I find, and I kind of hold them in similar light. So, yeah. Black Midi just put out a new record entitled Hellfire this year in 2022. Very, very shortly after their last record, Cavalcade. And I'm going to be reacting to Hellfire today. It's a pretty short record. And, yeah. But, before we get started, if you are new around here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I just hit 300 subscribers, which is huge for me. Thank you so much. It helps out a lot. It's free. You can always unsubscribe later if you want. Now, Black Midi is a very fascinating band. I don't know if I'd call myself a fan. Well, maybe. Their music for me is interesting because it's not something I come back to. Often, that is. But when I do listen to it, I find their creativity to be so enjoyable and surprising. This band is wild with their math rock and noise rock, different time signatures and rhythms and musical experimentation. It is very strange, off-the-wall music, and I really appreciate it as an experience and as a piece of art, even if it's not necessarily I come back to a lot. So I am excited to listen to it. So I would say I'm a fan, but not a diehard one, if you understand what I'm saying. I've heard all their records. I even own Schlagenheim on vinyl. Well, all two of their records. Three now. Anyway, that's enough talk. Have at you. First track, Hellfire. I always expect something crazy. Immediately, it's weird. I like the rhythm of the spoken word a lot. It's a very interesting sound, too. It's got like this big, almost like rollicking marching band feel, like a marching band from hell, as it's like descending into this dissonance. What a weird opener, man. This band never fails to surprise me with their creativity. I mean, I was just listening to the opening of Schlagenheim a minute ago, and that was a very guitar-based song. Whereas the second album was almost a bit croonerish in a way. And this one, right off the bat, is this, like, weird hellscape circus marching band sound. Like I said, so creative and surprising. This band always keeps me on my toes. Even when it's so wild and out there, you can't help but just be in awe of what this band thinks of. And even how well they execute it. I mean, experimental music done to the max here. Now, I got a rating scale that I use, if you are new around here. And yeah, I know I'm shamelessly ripping off Brad Taste in Music, but hey, that's what YouTube's all about. If I think a song is kind of meh, I'll give it a black GameCube controller. If I like it, give it the green folder. You know, you think after using OBS for this long, I'd figure out that the directions are inverted. And if I don't like it, I give it the red. Anyway, Hellfire gets the green. That was a really inventive and creative song, and I know that the rest of the song is going to keep that energy. So let's go to track 2, Sugar Zoo. That's cool how it's like in a arena and you can hear the audience. Wow. That's surprisingly beautiful and chill and almost kind of like islandy. Once again, not what I was really expecting. To get something so beautiful from a band that tends to be so harsh and dissonant. Bro, it's like a rush of energy. That's gotta be like 30-second notes. Like, that's really fast. That's really... It feels very, like, intensely cinematic. It reminds me of the music, like the background music in, like, Season 1 and 2 of RWBY. Like, it sounds like it would, background, like, a fight scene in an anime. And I like it. It sounds really great. Like, the guitars have a surprisingly pretty tone. And, like, shout out to how talented the musicians are to be able to play this shit and play it that well. I don't know how they are live, but it sounds great on studio. That's gorgeous. Oh, and the pianos are, too. It's interesting because it's got that beauty of, like, the piano and his crooning. But then it's got this, like, underlying, like, sinisterness to it with the droning, dissonant strings under it. It's a really interesting contrast of sounds. Just a wall of sound and noise. It's just so overwhelming, but in a good way, you know? It's, kind of stimulation overload, but it's supposed to be like that. Ooh. I thought that sound was fascinating. That's gonna be a word I use a lot. Fascinating, interesting. But a lot of the, juxtaposition of different sounds being used and different feels being used, because there was that nice, like, really chill islandy opening with the saxophone and really beautiful piano work, but it's all underscored by these dissonant droning strings that sound like they're straight out of the soundtrack for the Joker movie, and those two things put on top of each other are really interesting. So Sugar Tsu also gets the green. I'm really liking this. Eat Men, Eat. It's got almost like a Middle Eastern flair. Almost like the Gerudo Desert in Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Well, those vocals are surprisingly really pretty. On this record, it seems like Black Midi is really kind of stepping out of their own. Because usually it's like spoken word. But these sung vocals here are really pretty. And they are reminding me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. The microphones. The vocals remind me of the microphones. The kind of weepy sadness of Phil Elverum's voice. But it's got this, like, sadness to it that I really appreciate. That's gorgeous. The building of the piano and the horns all being crescendoing and then pulling back, getting louder and quieter. What the fuck? This is so beautiful. The Middle Eastern flair in this song is so interesting. Almost maybe a little indie in here. Very much world music sounding, like southern and Middle Eastern areas of Asia. And it's interesting, once again, the juxtaposition of sounds, the kind of pretty, not pretty, but sung, melancholy, sad, slow verses, to the explosion of sound on the chorus. Or chorus. Interesting. That song almost seemed to be like from the perspective of a villain, especially at the end, like, you haven't seen the last of me yet! Fascinating. Yeah. I'm gonna give that the green. I think it might be my favorite song on the record so far. I think I talked about it pretty thoroughly, about the things I liked. Especially at the end, though, it picked up with that heaviness and angry and noise. Still, I feel like it's still very unconventional music, but in a totally different way than, like, Schlagenheim, I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just need to listen to that record again, but yeah, man, I'm flying through this record. Next track, Welcome to Hell. Welcome to the underground. How are your balls? Anyway, let's get on to Welcome to Hell. It's kind of a funky drum beat. It's like danceable almost. Oh my god. I gotta say, I just think it's really cool, this, like, super unconventional guitar that's offbeat with the drums, and then the drum line itself are both, like, the drum line is very danceable, so you're sitting here grooving to this drum line with this super, like, strange time signature and, almost, like, out-of-tune guitar on top of it. It's just a very, once again, interesting dichotomy of sounds that you wouldn't think you'd usually sit here and dance to, like, a weird experimental math rock song. But here I am thinking this is, like, one of the most danceable tracks on the album so far, because that drum line is, like, really groovy.
Experience the red rooms, the green tables, the souvenirs, make memories haunting of fables. The gallant mist of red-blooded chivalry instilled in basic training.
Oh, interesting. Welcome to Hell. It's about the military. It's about how war is hell. So they're describing... Oh. So it's talking about how war is hell, which is always interesting. But the way they're describing it, like it is literally hell, is cool. Very creative. The brass work here is cool. Hard and heavy. This is a very punky sound. Especially the drum. Do. Very punk. Which fits because it's anti-war, anti-establishment, because the establishment pushes war. Punk is inherently anti-establishment. So throwing the punk sound into a song about anti-war and the hell of war and the hell of the military is a really interesting touch. Especially because it's not like a straight-up punk song. It's got all this math rock, noise rock experimentation, but it's got that do. Just really creative song structure and composition. Oh, this must be... I'm starting to think this might be a concept album. Let's take a look. Hellfire. Hellfire. Eat Men Eat. Welcome to Hell. Oh, is this a concept record about war? And this guy, our main character here, Private Bongo? Yeah. Is discharged because he is, like, not in... His heart's not in it. Like, he doesn't agree with what he's doing. He's too, like, soft and sweet to be a good soldier. It says, what was it? Shivering fuck, don't stand in the street. You're lucky I don't shoot you on the spot. Our bullets were made for a man like you. The impotent idiots God forgot. Tonight you decide which corner takes resident, which room lives forever in your mind, but now you're on your own. We don't need men like you. So this guy isn't your, like, typical, you know, masculine person who you'd want, like, in the military. He's not your typical military man. He's not your typical man in general. And the military sees him as, like, we don't need you. And you're really getting in our way. Whether he wants to be here or not is a question. It almost sounds like maybe he was... I don't know, but they want to kick him out. They discharged him. Fascinating. So I'm starting to pick up on a bit of a concept here. I didn't read anything about this record beforehand, so I might be totally off base, but... Give that the green. Let's go to the next track. Still. Oh, there are no lyrics for this song. Country music. That's fascinating. The fact that a song that's like kind of both you failed your country and your country failed you. You failed your country because you're not the type of person they wanted for a war, but your country has failed you because they're going to a war that's useless. A war of, you know, like imperialism, not a war of defense or, you know, a justified war. And then that they also kicked you out of the military, so the country leading you into this situation, and that's followed up by failing you, and it's followed up by a song that has a country music sound to it, makes it very ironic because country is often associated with more patriotic, pro-war kind of people, and is very much a pro-war kind of conservative genre. So that's just an interesting dichotomy and interesting irony, I think. It's got a nice sound to it, though. It's kind of pretty. I mean, not pretty, but it sounds nice. Ooh, that string swell. Fiddle, bub. Man, the singing on this record is really nice. Not, like, conventionally good, but it's got, like, a emotion to it, like a weepiness that I really appreciate. I like that kind of stuff. Especially because Black Midi usually, like I said earlier, has spoken word vocals. It's really, really great stuff. Cool. That melody is awesome. Also, I really like the variation in instrumentation throughout this entire track. I like this, like, reflective, sad, soft sound. They really pull it off for being such an abrasive band. Halfway through, I would say this is probably my favorite Black Midi record so far. Mostly just because of the variation and how eclectic it is. Instrumentally, emotionally, like what mood it is. Vocally, lyrically. Maybe not as much lyrically, but definitely the rest. And the way it's just riding out here. Into halftime, a little halfway through the album, this would be where you switch to side B on physical, and it's just like riding out on this like swell of, once again, droning strings. Man, there was so much in that one 5.5 minute song. So many sounds and emotions. It started out as a country song and ended sounding more like a post-punk piano ballad. And there were so many different moments and sounds in between. That's the thing about Black Midi, is they're so creative and so just out in the stratosphere of experimentation that they try so much, and it's all so fascinating. So still, it's going to get the green. Now here's halftime. I won't bother like rating it or talking about it. I'll just let it play into the next song. It's obviously an interlude. Reminded me a lot of Songs for the Deaf. One of my favorite albums of all time. That kind of radio. KRD, they're coding. We spoil music for everyone. Listen to this. That's an opening. See, this is more like what I'm accustomed to from this band.
And thinking men are numbered. Don't kid yourself. This is a news.
It's got a weird theatric like swing to it, especially the way he's saying that. Don't kid yourself. It's just the news. It's like he's like singing directly to like someone like winking at the audience on stage. Man, someone's going ham on the piano. You know that guy from the 80s that did like the truck commercials? He was on some kind of TV show. I've seen the YouTube clip, The Fastest Speaking Man Alive, who like says all of Bad by Michael Jackson in like 30 seconds. That's what this is reminding me of. And like, this man hasn't taken a breath. Impressive. But it adds to kind of the desperation in what he's saying. You take it more seriously when he fucking is spitting it all out without even a breath that quickly. Now, for something completely different. Ooh, that sounded like it was from a horror movie. Which is funny, because that guitar pluck is so gorgeous. Once again, a very interesting juxtaposition of sound that seems to be running through this entire record. Perhaps it's talking about maybe more of a motif musically, talking about maybe the juxtaposition of life, how there are horrible and ugly things in this world, but there are also the beautiful Maybe? That's just a thought. If not, someone should do that. I don't know how a song that starts out so like hard and abrasive can end on such a gorgeous note. I mean, it felt like two completely different albums in one song with how radically it shifted. But once again, it was so fascinating, and the musical talent of this band, not only talent, yet creativity as well, are on full display here. Amazing. The race is about to begin. Gets a green. That's 7 minutes of just so many different ideas coming to light, and none of them feel half-baked either. You think with a record trying to pull off so many different ideas, it would come off as being, oh, these are all half-baked, or it's trying too hard. Yet they're nailing them because they're doing it in their own, like, their own way, in a way that, like, only Black Midi would do. It feels very much like Black Midi. I can't describe it as any other band or artists, and they're trying these sounds, but putting such their own personality in it that never feels like it's half-baked or just a cheap knockoff. Anyway, track 8, Dangerous Liaisons. The second least streamed song on the record by 46 streams. That piano, bing, that's gorgeous.
I'm about to murder a man in cold blood, or something entirely different.
Okay. I haven't had the lyrics up because Spotify sometimes has songs with lyrics, sometimes it doesn't. But if I were to assume this record was a concept album, I would say now he's talking about murdering a man in cold blood because of something totally different is what he says. That's that lyric I just heard. Perhaps this is Private Bongo post-war, maybe suffering a bit from PTSD and now seeing all of the world as this hellscape and is starting to kind of snap and maybe lose it and go after someone innocent. Just kind of cherry-picking lyrics as hearing them, but just a thought. There's only so much you can pull out in a first reaction without the lyrics in front of you, and Spotify's gotta be cringe like that. Jazz piano is cool, though. The piano has this very jazz feel to it.
No pistols, no blades.
No blades? If you're gonna talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. Train gang. Cool use of scale. Fundamentals. Wow, that ending was intense, musically. Once again, going ham on that piano. Yeah, that was a very heavy song, I think. Not much to say about it, as much as the other songs, but fascinating nonetheless. I'll give Dangerous Liaisons the green folder. Penultimate track. Track 9. The Defense. I want to go back to that kind of country sound.
Crowds swarm out doorways, and the street lamps are lit. One of my disciples begins his wandering in the alleys, in the main streets. He searches for men, the virile, pathetic, and lame.
I like the shaker. Kind of sets the atmosphere.
Every night
What a gorgeous full sound. It just feels very filled out and rich. Man, the piano work on this record has been awesome, honestly. Right here, it feels like islandy, which is weird because it started out really country-ish, and now it's got a very islandy feel to it. Although, if you look at the album cover, it almost, like, ooh, I like that synth sound. It almost sounds like a Game Boy. Specifically, it sounds like, I can't remember exactly which one, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, from the original Pokemon Gold and Silver. That, like, synth tone right there reminded me exactly of that. But if you look at the album cover here, it's got, like, almost looks like a tropical island with, like, pink water in the background as, like, the sun sets and, like, these horribly, like, mangled palm trees, but with all this other shit, like death and violence around it, kind of signifying the themes and the kind of inherent ugliness of the album, but also all the other shit thrown in there, kind of clogging onto this island. But at the core of it, it's got like a really islandy feel to it, and I found that to a lot of these songs, which is fucking strange, but I like it a lot. Oh my god. The wall of strings and the horns all coming in on top of each other, just so densely packed and layered, is gorgeous. That song was just gorgeous, especially by the end there, as all those strings and horns and all these sounds came in and just layered on top of each other. It was so just dense and rich and full sounding. The defense gets the green. And with that, oh, this is going to be a bitch to edit. We're here. Last song. 27 questions. Do 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 do.
When lost in wild rain, there is nothing you can do. When lost in city rain, there is something you can do. Take refuge wherever is marked admission free, as we did one night back in late 43.
Freddy Faz? Freddy Fazbear? This video turned into a shitpost. I'm so sorry. The song's cool though.
That was once brilliant. We picked its loose stuffing and looked around.
I really liked the way there that for a moment it all came together in this really like blissful, beautiful moment. It all was in harmony and then devolved back into like the dissonance and noisiness. I'm a real big sucker for that kind of stuff, but it was like the eye of a storm. I like that. Yeah, this almost sounds like the ending of like a musical film. Like something you hear at like the end of like Mary Poppins or something in this strange way.
Fornicate and do scientists pray is a sin committed every moment. It's not quite 27, but my chest feels awful tight. So thank you for listening. Good night, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Unless maybe the entire thing... The way this ends almost makes me feel like the entire thing isn't necessarily about the war itself, but about a show about the war. Because Hellfire almost felt like an opening to like a show, and then 27 Questions feels like the ending of a show. So is this like a rock opera about a show about a war? Or am I just looking way too deep into something that's not there? Let me know in the comments down below. I gotta say, one more second. I gotta say, 27 Questions against the grain. Hellfire is my favorite Black Midi record so far out of the three. I like the other two. I'm pretty sure I gave Cavalcade like a 7 or 8. I was very generous to that record. I enjoyed it. This record was so good, and one I could actually see myself coming back to over and over again. It was so off the wall and crazy with its experimentation and fusions of sound. These songs were like entire symphonies in a couple of minutes, because it was going from country to this kind of island rock, yacht rock feel, to Broadway musical, to the noise rock and math rock Black Midi's known for. Some of these songs were really pretty, some of these songs were really abrasive. Other times, the drums made me want to dance, of all things. A record so full of life, character, and flavor, so unique and creative, and there's so much passion and talent behind this band. And I think it's especially shown on this record. Hellfire was great. I loved it, and I'm going to have to go back and listen to the other two records now and kind of reevaluate based after this one, because this might be like the moment where this band really is like with me, you know? I've enjoyed everything I've heard. Like I said, I'm casually, I'd say, a fan, but this is the first record I've heard of theirs. It's like, wow, I actually like really loved this. Like, this would probably be in my end of the year video. I'm feeling like a 9 out of 10 on Hellfire. What did you guys think of this record? I loved it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, as always, and I'll see you all next time.